as society becomes more entangled in fascination with UFOs and extraterrestrial life, the devil is preparing the minds of people for his final, almost overmastering deception.
Any being that comes down in some spaceship, that it's a fallen angel up to Satan's tricks.
And I'm wondering what happens to many Christians when the first alien parts are shown. These are demons and demonic manifestations.
People looking into alien visitation, etc. It's all a part of Satan's agenda to bring about the last great conflict.
They're not only good angels, there are some evil angels. And they may pose as aliens or leaders of other worlds.
They will appear as, these demons will appear as beings from other worlds, so-called.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're demons.
This is a demonic activity, although everybody else would say this is a UFO.
When we see these events, we try to say those are probably extraterrestrials, other beings coming in to help us. Basically, they are non-human intelligences, but what it really is evil spirits.
Wow, we live in some fascinating times, don't we? This is interesting because this is happening in mainstream news right now. And maybe your members have sent you this video because they want you to know that this is mainstream now. This is not something that's just kooky that your members are talking about. This is for you, Mr. Pastor. This is for you, Mr. Elder. This is for you, member of the church that wants to know more about what is going on and what other pastors are talking about when they mention UAP, NHI, and all this other stuff that's happening in Congress, in your government right now. You need to understand this. And many pastors know about what's going on, and maybe not yourself. So this channel, we talk a lot about that, and we've been doing it for about 4 years. So you need to subscribe to it so you can see what is legitimate about it, and also leave a comment below on something you thought was very interesting. So let's begin with Mark Finley. Mark Finley is one of the OG pastors. He's a televangelist. He has started being more vocal recently about what he believes. And it's very interesting to see that he's diving into current events more attentively. Here he's going to tie in Revelation 12 to the devil's short time. And he says this is the time when this UFO thing comes about.
Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice you, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and sea. Why? For the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows he has a short time. Certainly this applied to when Satan was cast out of heaven. But it specifically applies, the Bible says, to the last days of Earth's history, when Satan knows that he has a short time as society becomes more entangled in fascination with UFOs and extraterrestrial life. We're faced with the pivotal question: are we witnessing a mere cultural phenomena, or is this part of Satan's master plan to deceive humanity? Now let me be plain. The devil is preparing the minds of people for his final, almost overmastering deception.
And that's not the only thing Mark Finley says. He also says that predictive programming, or movies and media, what we put into our brains, has kind of pushed us in this direction. Check this out.
But what might Satan be doing with all this emphasis on extraterrestrials and aliens in the press, in books, in movies, in Hollywood productions? What might be taking place here? Could it be that the devil one day will appear on earth as an angel of light with his other angels to deceive humanity? That should not surprise us for two reasons. First, in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14, we read these words. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 14. The Bible describes Lucifer, or Satan, this fallen being, not as a demonic being in a red suit and horns and pitchfork. Not at all. It describes him in a different way. Satan may be trying to condition the minds through media of a master plan that he has to deceive humanity.
Steve Wohlberg is another pastor. He runs White Horse Media, just moved to Tennessee nearby. And I might try to get him on sometime because I'd like to hear what else he has to say about this now that he's local. One of the things that he said on this program recently was that, SETI is listening. And they have been listening for a long time. But there might be a great controversy over this humanity that is on Earth right here. And they're going to use SETI. They're going to use all of these tricks to try to get people to believe that they are listening to somebody or something that's smarter than them from outer space. Listen to what he says.
I've often thought about, these big, huge NASA, ears like SETI, where they can hear, or what's going on up there, any sounds from outer space. And if they got far enough into the throne room of the universe, they could hear a big angelic choir, singing, "Worthy is the Lamb," and "Glory to God," and they're praising the Lord. But they don't get that far up. And so I believe there's lots of beings up there that are unfallen beings, but they're loyal to God. They're not strange-looking, scary reptilian creatures that might show up, through some spaceship or show up in your bedroom and abduct you or scare you to death. So the good angels are up there. The bad angels and the good angels are down here, and they're fighting. They're in a conflict over us. And I don't believe that Satan has any access anymore to the other worlds. And so any being that comes down in some spaceship, it's not going to be, if it looks strange and weird, and if it's not praising Jesus Christ and honoring God in the Bible, then we know that it's a fallen angel up to Satan's tricks.
And the next video I want to show you is from an interview I did with Dr. Eric Walsh. Dr. Eric Walsh is well known for stating his mind and having a firm foundation on what he believes. So much so that the state didn't want him to be at their post anymore because he had the truth and they didn't like it. That's a story for another time, but what happened was he talked a little bit about this whole alien agenda on this program, and what he had to say was absolutely fascinating. Dr. Eric Walsh reads a Catholic news article about them saying if an alien would appear, they're going to baptize him. Now, why would the Catholic Church want to even say anything about that unless it was something they wanted to talk about for something upcoming? Who knows? But this is what he said while reading the article. Very interesting stuff.
If tomorrow an expedition of Martians came to us here and one said, "I want to be baptized," what would happen? Martians, right? Green with long noses and big ears, like in children's drawings. When the Lord shows us the way, who are we to say, "No, Lord, it is not prudent. No, let's do it this way"? Who are we to close doors? This is where it gets fascinating. What makes you assume the alien needs baptism?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them said they baptize the aliens. If you need baptism, what does it mean? It means you are
Sinful.
fallen.
Yeah.
Sinful. So do you see what they're, I mean, if going back to 1933, because I read some of that stuff and was fascinated that they say the Vatican has some of this evidence as well. But why would you assume that someone coming from outer space needs baptism?
Yeah.
It has to be fallen angels.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted a weird way to kind of backdoor your way into this idea, here it is. Because I mean, I wouldn't, why would you assume they need to be baptized? As an Adventist, you'd think if someone really came from another planet, they would not have sinned. They wouldn't need baptism, but they want them to be baptized. So we're at a crossroads here where people do have to wake up. This thing is going to become bigger. And I'm wondering what happens to many Christians when the first alien parts are shown, if they really have alien parts and they really do show them. Obviously, we know they're not real aliens. None of the unfallen worlds are going to visit us. These are demons and demonic manifestations. For those who say it's not possible, if you believe in the Bible, you have to go back to the story of Moses going into Pharaoh's court with Aaron and throwing down his rod.
And this definitely will become bigger. Chris Hudson, if you don't know who Chris Hudson is, you might remember the old channel called Forerunner 777. I don't think it's necessarily old. It's still very relevant, but he's one of the original YouTubers that were talking about truth way back in the day. If you remember, there was an old Hollywood TV show called 2.5 Men. The half a man, or the little kid that was on there, was really enamored with Chris Hudson and became an avid listener of what he had to say and the truth behind what he had to say. It was very fascinating to watch, and Chris Hudson did a great job of telling him more about what the truth was from the Bible. But listen to this, though. Chris Hudson is very, very concerned about this whole UFO and UAP thing. Watch what he says.
I fully believe that, obviously, I'm a Bible believer like yourself. So I fully believe that all that's going on right now with the UAPs and people looking into alien visitation, etc. It's all a part of Satan's agenda to bring about the last great conflict. Like Revelation chapter 16 and verse 13 tells us.
This certainly will be a last big conflict, but let me give you another video from Doug Batchelor. Doug Batchelor, I had on the program, on this channel, must have been 4 years ago now. I gave him very softball questions, but he gave me some very pointed answers for questions and that I should have asked him. And in this specific one is one of those answers that I really wished I would have dug into further. He talks a little bit about evil angels and how they are trying to manifest as different things.
The Bible talks about different characters that have invited angels into their home. And so that's true, but we've got to keep in mind that the Bible also warns us they're not only good angels, there are some evil angels. And they may pose as aliens or leaders of other worlds, or, they can, I think it's 2 Corinthians chapter 11, it says Satan himself is transformed into an angel. And that word angel means a messenger of light. So people have to be careful. They say, I saw this creature from another planet and he gave me a beautiful message that said it's okay to sin and you're just going to get reincarnated. And they're telling them something that is totally not true to deceive. But they'll think, well, it came from another world. It must be true. But it could be a fallen angel.
Evil angels that can transform into different things. That's fascinating. We're going to see all kinds of stuff at the end of time. In fact, I believe that we're seeing some of this stuff even today. Scott Ritzma from Belt of Truth Ministries, he actually talks a little bit about this as well. I had him on via Zoom call to kind of discuss this a little bit further. Scott talked a little bit about the externalization of the hierarchy. Now, there was somebody, an occultist, long ago that said that this would probably happen in 2025 this year. We only have a month left of that. But the interesting part of that is the quote that she said was, in all probability, meaning Satan doesn't really know time prophecies. And since this was 100 or so years ago that she made this prophecy, she doesn't really know. We can only wonder how this is going to come to pass, because it looks as if everything is saying today that it's going to be in the very near future. Some have even speculated, occultists specifically, that it will be before 2027 or during that year. I don't like to put dates on it because we don't know. And I don't like the idea of me being tied to a specific date that might be wrong. So take that with a grain of salt. But we know that the time is near for something big to happen, and we see it happening in the news. This is what Scott says about this. Listen to this.
Crisis season, there's going to be this externalization of the hierarchy, and that could look like the stuff you talk about on this channel, because you know about Roger Morneau. Your listeners know that he said that the satanic high priest, who was in touch with the master, singular Satan, told Roger Morneau that the grand plan at the end of time will be that people will just eat this stuff up. He said is that they will appear as these demons will appear as beings from other worlds, so-called.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're demons.
And on my trek to try to understand more about what people believe about this and what the Bible says about this, I reached out to Walter Veith, or Veith, and I asked him, what is it that you know about this? And what he told me was truly fascinating, because he said he has had an experience of seeing things in the sky that ran away from fighter jets when he was years and years ago, I think he said. So this was very interesting to me to hear firsthand someone actually having an experience with something like this. Again, all these full episodes I'll leave in the comment section or on the video description. But at least listen to this clip from Walter Veith. He runs Clash of Minds.
And we watched these things for a while, and I said, this is a demonic activity, although everybody else would say this is a UFO activity, of course. And the next day, the farmers reported that these objects had landed, and where they had landed, there were burn marks, obviously from the kind of feet or something that came down.
And finally, and most recently, I had a chance of having David Gates on this channel. David Gates, I grew up with mission stories of amazing faith, and I thought it would be interesting to see what he had to say about spiritualism from other countries. And so we came in and we talked about it a little bit, and he revealed that he knows people from NASA. And it was really interesting to hear what they said about that.
But what it really is evil spirits that take the shape. NASA has several scientists from NASA have confessed on their deathbed or mentioned that they have the help of extraterrestrial intelligences to help them in their research. One friend of mine from Mexico, his son is a scientist at NASA, and he says that they have these beings come and talk to them and teach them how to travel throughout space and the universe. And he mentioned all these different scientific researches in different dimensions where they go to. And well, those are things that God has forbidden us to have anything to do with. And satanic beings come and impersonate extraterrestrials and impersonate loved ones.
If you found this video fascinating, please share it. And please subscribe, because we're going to have a lot more people on talking about this stuff. And if you like it, hit that like button as well. If you thought there was something very interesting in this program, comment below and let me know, because I'd like to communicate with you and learn more about what you know as well. Something is coming, and I'm going to keep you updated here. So check back soon and watch for more videos on this channel.